welcome everybody. Start with the prayer and then the pledge. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight just to thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. I want to pray for a couple employees that are under the weather, Chief Denning and Cheryl. Just pray for special healing for them, and anybody else that might be under the weather, we pray for them. And this Labor Day weekend, just thankful for the workers, but also thankful for the industry and the different businesses that hire these workers. And we are so blessed in this community. I just pray to give us all wisdom to make the right decision. In all these things I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Dawn, you want to do roll call, please?
Barth.
Here.
Bassett.
Here.
Beverly.
Here.
Egley.
Here.
Taylor. Or Klepper. Martin.
Here.
Okay, you have before you that, for your approval, the council meeting minutes of August the 15th. Any additions or corrections? If not,
I make a motion to approve as written.
Second?
Second.
Bassett.
Yes.
Beverly.
Yes.
Egley.
Yes.
Klepper.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Barth.
Abstain.
Okay, have before you the approval of bills. Any questions, concerns?
Mayor, on Schmucker Motor Repair LLC for chains and chainsaws. I was under the understanding that he bought 2 new chainsaws.
3.
3. That's still a lot of money for 3 chainsaws.
He also has
Extra bars, extra chains, and he also, I think it was 10 gallons of fuel to get a light fuel through them for the, he's in a program where after 3 years,
3 years.
he can trade those in and get new ones. No cost or anything.
Plus, he had to go to South Bend or someplace to pick them up, right?
I'm not sure, not Schmuckers.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know where he went to get it.
Smokers right there on 37.
No, he had to.
Okay.
I don't know, I just thought that sounded like.
I had Corey send me the breakdown.
Initially, I thought it was chainsaws too, and I balked at that. But that's a lot of money. But he bought, fuel for it.
Chain oil.
Yeah, chain oil.
So here it's right here. There was 2. They were all professional grade chainsaws. So 3 total chainsaws, an additional leaf blower, 2 scabbards, a 14-inch diamond saw blade for the walk behind, couple of tree wedges, files, bar and chain oil, premix fuel, additional bars and additional chains.
This premix fuel, is that only gonna have to be for break-in, or is it, gotta keep buying it from them all the
You have
time?
to keep buying it from them
No kidding.
For the warranty.
for the replacement program.
Yeah.
He told me that his chainsaws were in terrible shape.
They were older, yeah, a chainsaw does not get taken very good care of. It gets
Right.
used, it gets put up, and
Yeah.
nobody touches it until it needs used again.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's used a lot, it's good, but if not, it
Yeah.
sits there and.
Well, listen, kids, you might as well pay these bills unless somebody else has something.
Any other questions? Okay, you entertain the motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Beverly.
Yes.
Egley.
Yes.
Klepper. Martin.
Yes.
Barth.
Abstain.
Bassett.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda, Erica Willitzer got some news for us from the Defiance County CIC.
Well, we have been working, the mayor and Troy, we've been working extremely hard on this project. Keller Development Group, Brian Keller's company, is wanting to build a spec building in the Hicksville Industrial Park. He wants to do a 100,000 expandable to 200,000 square foot facility. And as far as what you have before you tonight is a development agreement along with another agreement that would be between the council, the Hicksville, and the CIC. We would be the one where you guys would give the land to us. This is a request for land acquisition for this development. And then we would then gift that land to the Keller Development for him to invest and build that spec building. So part of the highlights of this agreement, and then I'll actually hand it over to Troy, who's been wonderful to work with on this project, very responsive. But some of the highlights in the agreement are at least 20 high-paying positions. We have in there that we are not going to accept any jobs that don't pay over $18.50 an hour. How we came to that conclusion is this. Regarding Jobs Ohio, you can't get incentives if you're not $18.50 or higher. There's also a piece in the language there that says if it's lower than 20, we do have the capabilities of approving that, the council and the CIC together. A prime example would be the TKI fertilizer plant that just cited in Defiance. It's a huge investment and high-paying jobs, but the jobs are 17 jobs. They're very high-paying jobs, which would again be a win for Hicksville. So that's why we did put that in there, but we would vet the company, whatever company ends up landing there. There's a little bit of an issue with the way the cell tower verbiage, the contract that was established before. I'm going to hand it over to Troy to kind of explain that a little bit.
I guess there's two potential issues with the location of the cell tower and the language in the cell tower documents. Some of the language can be interpreted that they have kind of a right of first refusal on some of the other land back there. And so one of the things, I've reached out to them, and one of the reasons that we're trying to get this paperwork in line is we have to submit it to them so that they can review it and basically sign off saying they're waiving that right as it pertains to this particular parcel. And normally in a situation like that, if somebody had a right of first refusal and we wanted to sell the land to Keller for X amount of dollars, then we would present that contract to them and they could decide whether they want to buy it for that amount or waive their right. Well, in this case, obviously is unique because we're not selling it. However, we are transferring it on the agreement basically that he's going to build a 100,000 square foot commercial building and seek out, people. So in reality, the only way they could match the offer is if they agreed to do something similar, which I'm certain they have no interest in doing. But we got to dot the I's and cross the T's. So the resolution that we have that we can go through here in a little bit is an agreement between the CIC and the village that basically sets forth that we are going to transfer that parcel of real estate to the CIC, and certain, will assist the CIC and Keller in obtaining that waiver regarding that right of first refusal, and will also, the other issue is the way that Keller would like to put the building on there. They would like to change the access road that goes back to the tower. Right now, there's a stone drive that goes basically what would be straight back through the middle of where he wants to build the building. He's proposed, obviously, he's going to have a paved parking area and an area for semi-trailers that would permit them to kind of go around the building and have a paved access to their tower. So the initial indication I got, again, that's still subject to approval by the tower company, but from my contact there, he thought that was a total non-issue. It's like, well, we're going from a stone drive to having to drive around, but it's concrete or whatever, paved, and yeah, that's basically a win-win for everybody. So they still have to approve that. But so our agreement basically sets forth that, and then the CIC's responsibility obviously is they're going to enter into a development agreement with the Keller Group, which sets forth all those requirements as far as jobs and what type of things have to go on. And the CIC's responsibility obviously is to monitor that as it goes along, what they've agreed to build and things of that nature, as well as their employment requirements, both as far as payroll and number of jobs. So the document, and I have the complete original of the agreement between the CIC and the village. It also attaches the proposed development agreement as an exhibit so that we can send all the information to American Tower to review so they can make their decision, and hopefully fairly quickly so we can move forward. The development agreement is contingent, obviously, upon us being able to get the waiver of the right of first refusal. Attached to that, you'll see, Ron's looking at it now, is a proposed, that's nothing final set in stone, a proposed survey that Keller's had his surveyor prepare that shows not only the size of what's going to be the property they're built the building on, which is 18 plus acres. It also shows the current location of the tower and what would be a separate legal description, because what would be anticipated is the village would retain ownership of the site that the tower's on, the cell tower, and that portion up in the front corner where our new water tower is to be constructed. And so those would remain village property, and would be separated from the 18 plus acres that Keller would retain and would build the building on. As Erica mentioned, 100,000 square foot initially, which if you've seen the drawing, it's kind of on the one half of it, but expandable to another 100,000, kind of on the other side. And so that's in there. That shows the rough, location of everything. So obviously the project's in its infancy, but the way these things work, we kind of got to push it along and move it along, because there's people out there looking for places, and we don't want to be spinning our wheels back here and have Erica say, well, that would have been a perfect, but we're not ready, or that would have been. So we got to get it to that point where even if nothing's in the process, and I know when Brian was here last, he talked about lead times on buildings and things like that. But if we have our agreement with the CIC, and then the CIC can enter into the agreement with Keller, that gets it to the point where Erica can then start to talk to people and entertain people that are interested, and get to the point where we can hopefully move it further down the road. So
Let's do this.
Right. I will tell you this too. I have been pushing pretty hard and to be quick on all of this. We do have a couple really strong leads, and some of those are coming from the Indiana area, looking to get into the Ohio market. You don't know where those leads are going to lead, but if we don't, like Troy said, if we don't have these in place, we can't really show it.
And that's important too, because and Erica knows the state programs better than I do, but I know there's always incentives, particularly in this area, where we're in competition with Indiana or whatever. It seems like that's a little easier to sell to some of those state programs than it is like, hey, we're gonna take jobs from Findlay and move them to Defiance or whatever. If it's, hey, this company's looking at Indiana, or they're already over here, but they wanna move, obviously that makes more sense, because we're adding instead of just relocating things. And so the incentives sometimes flow a little stronger on those type of situations than they do on the other.
I know you guys have all the information, but are there any questions?
Just so I'm clear on, I guess, as far as the leasing, so the tenant goes through you have to have the final say on the tenant, is that correct? Or how does that work, I guess?
Well, we will be partners on that.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get a lot of leads, but I'm only gonna filter ones that I think are very viable for your community and that fit. So it would be a partnership. I'm not gonna do anything that you guys are like adamantly opposed to.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. You're not coming back to us to say, hey, we have a tenant, do you approve? It's Brian Keller's building, or Keller Development building, part of the CIC, correct?
Well, we have, if we get something, Brian is a good developer, so
Yeah.
he's not gonna get anything, probably bring anything that's gonna be horrible.
And I'm not
But you
assuming
are
anything's
in your
detrimental. That's-
And if it's
that's-
questionable, if it's something that's overly questionable, I suspect at a meeting, probably an executive session or something where
Yes.
we're talking about economic development and says we're gonna have a hard conversation about, hey, you know, we got this really good lead and here's the jobs, but I can't even think of something that, you know, whatever, something that might be potentially
Controversial.
environment questionable
Yeah.
or where some people might not, well, we don't want a coal plant in.
Yeah,
That's the best I
get
can think
it. I
of.
was just curious
Yeah.
what the process is. Once
Yeah.
once tenants are lined up, that's a conversation basically, and then you're just informing us. There's no decision to be made up here or final approval
I
on
mean,
tenant.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That's correct.
Let's pass this.
Can we change the agenda and just do this one? So if there's any questions,
Yeah, we could do that over.
okay, let's, so
one
Troy,
do
if
you
you'll
want
do that 2022-16.
Okay.
But first, I want to thank you, Eric, and the CIC. And Troy, I've been following the emails. How many lawyers were involved in this? 5, 6?
3.
3, but it seemed like it was 7 or 8. But Troy stepped up. I want to, you know, publicly thank him. It was a lot of work, a lot of emails, so.
And the work is not over.
Yeah, but
Especially
this,
doing
I
it out
think,
of
is
order,
going to be
right?
big for Hicksville. It's going to be a start. So, and the Keller investing in our community, I mean, that's huge, because he's invested in Defiance, Napoleon, now he's coming to Hicksville, so this is huge. So go ahead, Troy.
Okay. So it's Resolution 2022-16, a first reading by caption only, a resolution for the Village of Hicksville, Ohio to enter into an agreement with the Community Improvement Corporation of Defiance County, Inc. regarding transfer of real property and declaring an emergency.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second, roll call.
Okay, Eric was the first, who's second?
Taylor.
Barth,
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Klepper?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
So second, third readings of Resolution 2022-16 by caption only, a resolution for the Village of Hicksville, Ohio to enter into an agreement with the Community Improvement Corporation of Defiance County, Inc. regarding transfer of real property and declaring an emergency.
It's a move.
Second.
Any other discussion before we have the final vote? Roll call.
Martin?
Yes.
Klepper?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Any questions for Eric of Denver Defiance Council?
You say you don't want to pass it, then? You don't want to?
We'll do the other ones when we get to them.
Okay, all right, all right. Thanks, Erica.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being great to work with. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't stay the whole meeting.
You're here by your own free will.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're at boards and commissions. I don't think we had anything. Council committee reports, personnel met August 31st, and I think we got a written
Yeah.
minutes. Everybody got those?
Just got him.
So any comments on that?
Haven't read it.
It might have been on your list on the table.
Yeah, I know I've got it, but,
You can have mine.
no, I've got it.
got
I
it.
just, I got it. But, no, I'm good. I haven't read it yet, so.
Okay, you want to kind of go over it, just so
Yeah,
the
we
public
met
knows?
about, job descriptions for the village with focus on the zoning inspector position, their day-to-day responsibilities. That position currently spends a lot of their time mowing, and not doing the duties that the position was designed for. So they've already changed where he's gonna have set hours, 12 to 4 every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Other times during his duties, he should be traveling throughout the town, locating ordinance issues, and then following up with those issues. The administrator is going to be working on rewriting that position so it focuses strongly on the responsibilities that he should be doing. And then to make up for the mowing, because he spends so much time mowing, we're going to look at having a part-time person come in and take care of those properties, so he can focus solely on what his job is supposed to be. With that being said, obviously, there's gonna be a lot more ordinance violations discovered and followed through with, so that's another thing the administrator is working up on. Instead of sending out letters, moving towards a tag system where you put a tag on the road for water shut off. He's still working on that. He is gonna bring stuff to us to show, and then I think it's really important before we, release this, is that we have like a town hall meeting. I think everyone else agreed with that. We should have some sort of town hall meeting so we can get the citizens around so they know they're not gonna be getting letters anymore. It's gonna be right there on their door. So, that instead of, it being delivered to their house, village employees are gonna be on their property, putting things on their door. So, he also talked briefly about, let's see here.
About the signs.
Yeah.
Did you mention that?
I didn't
No,
mention the signs, but, I don't know if we're all in agreement on that.
The one thing the administrator would like to do, kind of mirror Defiance. He likes a lot of things Defiance City's doing when it comes to grass ordinance violation or water shut off or nuisance property, to maybe let people know that it's nuisance property, or Defiance actually post signs in the yard, nuisance property. This way your neighbors know that the village is trying to do something to clean it up. There's a time frame on getting it fixed. And also if the sign comes up missing, then there's a fee for repaying for that sign. So there's some other things the administrator's looking to try to implement with this.
Would there be did you discuss, I know like if they're gonna shut your water off, there's a charge to send a guy out there and do it, and then, and then come back.
Specifically
Oh,
about that for water shut-offs.
There won't be a fee for
Non-payment is what you're
hanging.
talking about?
There would be a fee for somebody hanging them on there because that'd be part of his duties.
Okay.
That would be the zoning department, that would be part of his job.
Okay.
His job description, so that's.
Guaranteed.
The goal is for him to
Communication.
be, or that position, regardless of who's there, to be focused on our zoning ordinances
Yeah,
and
okay.
enforcement.
Now, will he be finishing out the mowing duties for this season and then looking next season to hiring
Yes, we
someone?
did
Is that
talk
the goal?
about that because mowing is coming to a close.
I hope.
Two more months at least.
Yeah.
At least 2 more months.
Yeah, I've been having to mow a lot too, so.
We wanted to kind of have this meeting for budgetary so we can look
Yes,
for
yeah,
budgeting for
that's
next year's.
kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah. So, and we also briefly speak about evaluations. Specifically with his employees, he wanted to move towards merit-based evaluations that would affect what the raises are. And I think you're kind of divided on that. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing, because then you can play favorites. And then it's also something that it had to be implemented, I feel, across the whole village. It couldn't just be, one section of it. So, you guys have anything else you want to follow up on? Or-
No, that was the main thing.
Yeah.
Everything there, yeah, that we discussed.
Yeah. But yeah, a couple hours of good talk. So.
Sounds like he made some good decisions. Thank you,
I
guys.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, we got the laws on the books. We just need to
Yeah.
Enforce them.
enforce them. Yeah, like this.
Just enforce them, and or, some of them might get brought to our attention where one was brought up, let's just say, about or make it a little bit more specific. Right, certain ones. Like, let's say, one that got brought up was a trailer being parked in a driveway. A camper, a trailer, a box trailer, an open trailer, if it's allowed or not allowed, and there's a lot of,
But there's, to piggyback off that,
Yeah.
we got the ordinance pulled up, because I was gonna ask Troy about that. I think that one does need clarified, because the way it's written, it is pretty vague.
A lot of gray areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's what's
Open
saying.
for interpretation, and I think, that obviously, we're trying to crack down on junk vehicles and, enforcing our ordinances, and this is one that's, we've seen a lot of pushback on, so I think that's something, maybe when we get.
The grass ordinance was another one, 3 days. 3 days from what? 3 days from when you got the letter? 3 days when you open your letter? 3 days from what?
That's
So-
the nice thing about the tag system is if he sees a violation, he can fill out the tag, boom. You put a letter in the mail.
With a date on it, you have
Once
3
you
days
get it
from here.
mailed,
May never get it.
right, that's right, you may never get it.
Well, and that's been claimed a lot.
Yeah. So, one idea is when you place that
But
tag.
the camper part, that, I've had several dealings where people called me about them,
Mhm.
and I'd much rather see somebody back a $50,000-$60,000 fifth wheel camper in beside my house than have a car sitting there, ain't been plated for 3 years.
Right.
Hood's not even on it.
Yeah, with the tag system, I don't know, we could even implement where they take a picture like Amazon does, you know, so then there's proof that,
Yep.
you know, it was here it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for another day, but that's what we.
Okay.
Good job, guys.
That was a good meeting. Any questions for the, see, that was personnel? Yeah. Any other committee reports?
Water sewer just met prior to this meeting. Main concern was bulk water usage and how currently everything is, whether it's filling the pool, irrigation, that sort of thing, charge both water and sewer. We still need to, we talked about several different options moving forward. It's the general consensus that we need to figure out a better system for bulk water usage in our community. I'm talking with our utility clerk a little bit. There's a few changes we need to meet a little bit more to discuss things, but basically putting in policy for new pool installs, refills, like new lawn reseeding. Probably need to schedule another meeting to kind of hammer out all those details and have all the parties that involved actually at that meeting. So.
Okay, any questions? Water and Sewer Committee. Okay, any other committee reports? Administrators report, you have the report in your agenda or your packet. Any questions? Sounds like they're going to bore, what, September, where did I see that?
September 12th is still the plan.
September 12th, soon.
Yep.
Okay,
There's a lot of stuff going on September 12th.
okay. Any questions?
I just hope the state
Yeah.
doesn't put us off another month.
Yeah.
Okay, solicitors report. Do a rest report now.
Resolution 2022-13, the second reading by caption only, a resolution to enter into an agreement with the Defiance County Commissioners for the recovery of monies expended for providing legal counsel to indigent persons for the calendar year 2023.
Didn't we already pass this? Or was that-
Second.
Pass it. This is the second reading.
Okay.
Yeah. Resolution 2022-14, a resolution, first reading by caption only, a resolution for the Village of Hicksville, Ohio to enter into a contract with Caldwell Tanks, Inc. for construction of an elevated water storage tank and declaring an emergency.
Vote to suspend the rules.
I'll second that. Go ahead.
Roll call.
Barth,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
So, second, third readings by caption only, resolution 2022-14, a resolution for the Village of Hicksville, Ohio to enter into a contract with Caldwell Tanks, Inc. for construction of an elevated water storage tank and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
I
Get
just
called
have a
up?
quick question. real
Okay.
quick. They're aware of this new spec building, correct? Caldwell Tank is. Has any of that been discussed?
I don't think
Granted, this is supposed to start, construction should start near immediately. I'll make a note, make sure
Right.
that they know that their construction area may be changing.
Well, I haven't seen the print with the building on it, but out of 18 acres, they certainly ought to be able to keep over in that corner, I would think.
I think the first part of the building's over here.
Oh, so that's
expandable over
Is
that
the
way.
west, yeah.
That'd be great, yeah. But you're right, Taylor, they need to be brought aware so that they can plan for their staging and in case they need to put a drive in to get trucks in, once it gets crummy.
Yeah, good catch, Eric, but I'll follow up on that. Any other questions? See, we had the second, third reading.
Yep. Martin,
Yes.
Klepper,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
And then Resolution 2022-15, first reading by caption only, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies, certifying them to the county auditor, and it appears Cheryl must make this right.
yes, please.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
That's this one.
It's this one
It
right
doesn't
here.
have
It's a
a-
form one that they send from the
Yeah.
county.
Suspend the rules.
I've got a,
Got 'em?
I've got,
Now you got two.
your second of it.
Roll call.
Barth,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
So second, third readings of Resolution 2022-15 by caption only, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies, certifying them to the county auditor.
Second.
Roll call. Any other discussion before we do the last one? Okay, roll call.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
We already did the last one.
That's all I have. Been, the mayor indicated primarily working on the spec building stuff.
Okay. Any questions for our solicitor?
I guess to discuss that ordinance that we were talking about earlier with the trailers, is that something you just want to discuss afterward?
Yeah, we can just do it, and I should take a look at it and tell you, tell you what I think, or what needs.
Okay.
to-
No, I don't have it.
Okay, moving on. Police chief, or Doc, you have anything?
I don't, we had 500 calls for service and 211 cases for the month of August.
Wow.
I was gonna mention boats. When we did that discussion, you guys, boats.
Boats
should be
is-
in that discussion as
Well,
well.
it says recreational vehicles, so that's part of the vagueness. The gray areas with boats is also a question.
Well, and then we have boats, I do know, I saw one yesterday, a boat just lying in the yard, not on a trailer, but
Nice.
the boat's totally registered, everything is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe you can stick around. and discuss a little bit about Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Doc?
Did we hear how the interviews went
For,
for the position?
The lieutenant position?
Yeah.
Have that-
They were supposed to, I saw in our notes, they were supposed to happen the following week from ours, but I never heard.
We did several interviews. Right now, we're doing backgrounds and stuff like that on people, make sure that everything's good. And I should have an update very soon
Okay.
on that.
Park Director. Just got a text from Val that Gary's mom passed away, so that's why she's not here tonight, so. Fiscal Officer report.
You have them in the packets.
Yep. Any questions on the fund status? I see
October has
the-
not been, or excuse me, August has not been closed out yet.
I see our general funds hanging in there. It's up there where it should be. Okay, mayor's report. I don't have anything to report. I mean, I could talk about some things, but not yet. So, anything else needs to become for this council?
Reminder, Oktoberfest is September 17th. Cruise through decorating is supposed to start this week. I think this week or next
Wow.
week. So,
Wow.
any volunteers?
Yeah.
More than appreciated down there. Other than that.
And I know the trail committee's meeting tomorrow night at 6.
6, yeah.
Out on the new drive off Hicksville Mill Road, right over the moving along real well.
Yeah, all right, I guess can give an update on
I
that.
thought I read someplace where it was over, done,
What's that?
trail.
No, so the Trail Association, we're in the process of formalizing a 501c3 group as far as like long-term maintenance goes of trails. The goal, we're working with Corey as well, and the local farmers that are potentially going to work that ground, and coming up with sort of a master plan for the area as far as tree plantings, what the trail path is going to be, what area would be still farmable, basically all of those things. So, meeting tomorrow to kind of put a preliminary route together, and then from there we'll go sit down with
Anybody heard how the splash pad's doing?
the community foundation signed a letter of intent with the engineering firm. They've got a meeting, I think, this week to sort of set initial expectations. They're in the process of formalizing everything so they can start fundraising efforts.
Have they done any speculation drawings or anything?
That they just signed a letter of intent with the engineering firm. I believe it's a firm out of Indianapolis that they're working with on the overall design. So they kind of want to set initial expectations based on, I think they've been talking with Corey a little bit. Have you been involved in any of the conversations?
September 13th, they're having a meeting in the morning with a company out of Indiana or something, Indianapolis or something. On the 13th, they're meeting with them to go over kind of what they're envisioning, and then moving on from there to get.
This company.
I think we plan on meeting this week, but that sounded like working on the last schedule, so they're gonna meet before the guy comes on the 13th.
Great.
Cool. Things are moving right along. Anything else? Any questions for me?
How big a camper did you get?
I mean, what?
How big a camper did you get?
How big? I don't know.
How many feet long is it?
I don't know. 24 maybe?
Well, I wish I'd have been the guy that sold it to you.
24.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Barth,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.